Last weekend, I ran my first ever marathon in a time of 3 hours and 11 minutes at over 100 kilo body weight. Now, we were going for a sub 3 hours for my debut. However, unfortunately, we didn't come away with it. We came away with 3:11. But you know what? It's okay because it was my first ever marathon. The course was rough. It was the Southampton Marathon. If you're from the area or you've ran it before, you'll know the course is not very forgiving. You go over a bridge called Itchen Bridge 4 times, and the elevation was just a joke. I think in total it was like 350-ish meters of elevation. I'll go over the full stats in this video, of course, anyway, breaking down how I actually managed to do it, my overall thoughts on it, and where I think I could have gone better, and my plan to achieve a sub 3 hour later on this year. So a very quick context about myself and kind of how I got into the running space. So I used to be a runner back when I was younger. I used to run for Southwest England and County. If you remember English schools or you are from the UK, you probably know what that is. I used to be a pretty decent distance runner, middle distance and cross country. Then I stopped running at around 16, 17 because I discovered what the gym was, and that became my obsession for about 9 years or so as I went through, competed in powerlifting, bodybuilding, put on as much size as possible, got up to 125 kilo body weight in my peak off season. And then I got back down to around 100-ish where I competed on stage in bodybuilding. And now I came back out of that. And since January last year in 2025, I started running again and I just fell in love with the process of running and really started to kind of get back into that love for just trying to be my best self, my fittest self. And obviously now with the running, it is so much more popular than obviously it was back in the day when I first started doing it 10 years ago. It's like everybody's trying to do it now, and I have kind of just hopped on that bandwagon a little bit, and you know what, I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm here to stay for the foreseeable for sure. So on this marathon, I knew it was going to be a big task to go sub 3. Obviously, it's my first ever marathon. Thinking I could go sub 3 is a mammoth task as it is, but if you know me and you've seen my prior videos over the years, I don't do things half measure. I have to full send everything I do. I just get this addicted feeling where I have to give it everything I've got. And that's the mentality I applied for this. And obviously where I am a lot heavier now, I knew I was a lot slower. When I used to compete in running, I was like 50 kilo. I'm now over 100. So I knew it was gonna be like a mammoth task to go sub 3. But I knew it wasn't impossible because I have the genetics to be a good runner. I'm very tall. I've got a very long legs, got a long stride length. My cadence is good. Genetically, I am just built to run. I very much went against my genetics by getting into bodybuilding and putting on size. It's kind of funny, if I never really got into bodybuilding, I probably would be a very exceptional runner. But you know what? That's fine because I don't mind it because I end up looking the way I do now, which I'm very happy with. But that's a story for another day anyway. So I knew going into the marathon was going to be tough. So I had previously ran a 1 hour, 29 minute half marathon in training, so not officially. I did that as a race pace challenge. About 2 weeks prior to the marathon, before I started the taper, I went out and did a 1 hour, 29 minute half marathon. And that was to test the race pace for the sub 3. Obviously, sub 3, you need 2 back-to-back 1.5 hour marathons, half marathon, sorry, and that's what we were obviously going for. So I went out and did that. And it felt good, you know, I was holding like a 4:15 kilometer and it felt really, really good. Like I felt like I could have kept going, but obviously there's a half marathon, then there's a full marathon. And if you are an avid runner, you will know the distance is not forgiving. It is very, very challenging. And let's just say the wall hit me very, very hard in the main event. So anyway, what you're probably all here for is the stats, the breakdown, and then kind of how I went about my training and how I did it. But leading up to the training for the actual event, like I was feeling incredible. Like everything was just on point. I was feeling dialed in. I didn't miss a run. Didn't miss a beat. My sleep was on point. My stress management was good. My carb load was immaculate. I think I probably have one of the best carb loads because where I've come from, a bodybuilding background, my nutrition knowledge and my dedication to my nutrition is just insane. I'm happy to say that as well because I know it is. Like my nutrition was tracked. Everything was tracked in time to the absolute minute in terms of when I was eating it. I had my Normio in place night before, morning of as well. Everything was just perfectly worked out. So I think from like a preparation standpoint, I definitely couldn't have done anything better. I think unfortunately it's just a fact if I wasn't fit enough on the day to go sub 3, but I kind of knew that was going to be the case anyway. I think in my head, I was like, I want to go for something which is so delusional, but always gives me delusional confidence. Because I know for me, it's like, if I say myself in my head enough times I can do something, then I know I will eventually be able to do it. It's as soon as I put doubt on it, that's where I'm going to start messing up. And I'll tell you what, I think I did start to do that because I listened to a video of a guy who runs a podcast called Callum called Emotional Intelligence. You might know if you're in the running space. And he said that he was going for sub 3 as well in the London Marathon a couple of weeks ago. And he was starting to rationalize why he was trying to go sub 3 after telling it to everybody. And I think as soon as you start doing that, like I was doing as well, you start to create doubt and fear in your mind about the goal. And I noticed myself doing that. with the sub 3. It's like I was trying to rationalize to people why I was going for it, because I knew it was an absurd goal for my first ever marathon, but not impossible. And I'm glad I didn't get sub 3, because it just means the hunger and the drive is so much more there now. But anyway, I'm waffling a little bit. So for the Southampton Marathon then, I wore the Coros Pace 3, no, Coros Pace 4, I think this is. And I used the Coros heart rate monitor as well, which I kind of regret using because it's completely cut me up on my lat and my tricep, where obviously I've been running and it's been chafing against my lat. It's just completely destroyed my skin. I guess that's the downside of, obviously, if you're a heavier runner with a lot of muscle, things aren't just gonna be really built for you, but that's all right. So let's go ahead then and have a look at the data. So this is the marathon. We ran a total of 42.58 kilometers, obviously slightly over the marathon distance. I did know this, that every marathon is always a little bit longer because you can never really take the most direct route. And obviously it's always gonna be a little bit over to make sure you definitely hit the marathon distance, not under. So our total activity time was 3 hours, 11 minutes and 10 seconds, 22 milliseconds. And then we had an average pace of 4:29 per kilometer. Average effort pace was actually slightly less, slightly quicker. So obviously I was going quicker than I thought in terms of so I guess effort pace to me is like how hard did it actually feel. So it felt like I was going quicker than I was, which should be a good thing. Best kilometer was 3:59. That was probably at the very end. Average heart rate of 170. Elevation gain 341. That was the killer. Calories burnt 4,500 pretty much. And training load was 395. So looking at the data then, the paces is an interesting one. So my threshold pace is between a 359 to a 421. This is what Coros has calculated for me based off my data in training. And then my aerobic power is 422 to 437. So ideally we want to probably be running majority of the marathon in aerobic power and a little bit in threshold. So I knew this is a big ask because obviously, I'm trying to run a marathon in primarily threshold, which is just not going to work really, because obviously threshold is like your maximum effort for around an hour, which is normally 10K distance for most people. So I knew it was going to be quite a mammoth task, but I wanted to go for it anyway. There was a little bit in our anaerobic endurance at the end when we was obviously sprinting too. So heart rate's an interesting one. We had a max of 184 and an average of 170. I'm actually going to go in and show you in a second as well the splits of the heart rate too, because it was actually really interesting, the heart rate, in terms of how badly I started, because essentially I went in way too hot. Of course, I knew I was going to, and I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. But essentially I went out way too hot, peaked my heart rate way too early, and then dropped off quite a lot. My cadence, which is my steps per minute. So the good thing with the Coros app here is it always tells you kind of what things are. So cadence is the number of steps a runner takes per minute. And I was doing max 188, then I dropped off to 161, which was my average, which is quite low, really. It should be around 180, obviously. So that shows a big drop off, obviously, where I probably started a lot sooner, and then obviously dropped off towards the end there as well. So again, sort of common with that, obviously, in the marathon. Stride length, 138 average. My running power was 403, but my max output was 547. My contact time on the ground was an average of 225 milliseconds. So that's how much, obviously, time I'm spending on the floor. And then we have our stride ratio, stride height, and elevation gain as well. So lots of really, really good data there, to be honest. And this is why I love the Coros app, so I can compare this to previous bits of data. This isn't sponsored as well, by the way. Coros, if you want to sponsor me, that'd be absolutely fantastic, because I love your product. But unfortunately, I feel like I'm probably gonna need a few more followers until I get to that point. But anyway, we'll shoot for that goal down the line. But yeah, so stride ratio, stride height. Interesting with the stride height here as well. You can see where I dropped off quite a bit towards the end. Obviously, my height was a little bit lower, showing a lot of fatigue. Then obviously elevation was just brutal to me. You see these big step ups here where obviously I went up Itchen Bridge a few times. That was just absolutely just disgusting. So here's the main bits of data here really. So we're gonna go off the 5K times initially, because it's a bit easier to digest. So you can see here that I was trying to hold an average pace of 416, like between 420 to 416, because my goal was to go through halfway at around 1 hour 30 to 1 hour 31, because I wanted to try and negative split it. Obviously, again, that was a very ambitious thing to try doing my first ever marathon, but I thought, fuck it, we'll see if it's possible. So first 5K, went out 20 minutes, 38 seconds. That's just ridiculous. My 5K PB for reference is 19 minutes and like 16 seconds. So it was already a very, very big task. Admittedly, my 5K time is probably a bit quicker than that now because I haven't tested it in a while. My 5K time is probably closer to 18 minutes now. I am going to be testing that very soon in the video though, so stay tuned for that. We went out way too hot. Shock, first ever marathon. 5K in 20 minutes, 38 seconds. Next 5K, 21:18, which is good because again, the pace we were going for was I needed to average 21:40s, I think, to get a sub 3 hour marathon. I think it's 21 minute, 40 second 5Ks is what you need to get 8.5 times to get a sub 3 hour marathon. My third set of the 5K was 21:58, so slowed down a little bit. Then we had 21:57. Then we had 21:52. So still, even at the 25K mark, I was on pace. My average pace there between the first 5K to the fifth 5K, so 25K, was still really good. I think it averaged out at around sort of like 4:20. So I was still on pace to do really, really well here. And I thought, fuck, this is good. But then the sixth 5K came in. I remember because it was around the 28 kilometer mark. If I switch back to here, the 1 kilometers, you can just see here at 28K, I went from a 4:23 to a 4:33. So I evidently hit the wall very, very hard around that 28th kilometer for me because things just started to slow down drastically. You'll see as well, if I scroll back a bit here, my heart rate was 181 on 9K, which is just not a good sign. I knew like I could sustain a 170 heart rate for the marathon like quite easily because that should be on my top of like sort of zone 3, zone 4. So I knew I should be able to sustain that, but like 180 at 9 kilometers in was just a mistake. That was just not a good thing. So I kind of knew I was really burning it there, especially because my max heart rate is 189. I haven't actually gone over 189. I want to really try to push that a bit more because I'm only 26 still. So I feel like I should be able to push that a bit more. But again, it's going to be quite an ass to be able to. And then that sort of 28th kilometer just ruined me because you see then my sixth, 5K, was 4:34 average. Then I went to 4:51, then 4:58. So I just took a massive hit and my heart rate dropped as well, which is never really a good sign because it normally means that the body is just completely overexerted and it's trying to recover itself as quickly as possible. So it just is not a good sign that obviously that's happened. And then my last one obviously sped up a little bit more towards the end and managed to do a 4:27 average for the last 2.58K. So when I actually went out at the start of the marathon, we found some paces for the half marathon as there were no paces for the full marathon event. There was only paces for the 10K and the half marathon. And thankfully there was a pacer for 1 hour 30 half marathon. So me and this other guy, I think his name was Craig. Craig, you happen to be watching this video, I doubt you are, but you're an absolute legend, man. You're a sick runner. And I looked at your result as well, mate, and you hit a 2:55 or 2:56, I think, in the end, which is unreal. Because I found this guy at a start pen, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to stick with this guy. He's going sub 3. He seems really sound. Obviously, he looks like a very good runner as well. He was like his 6th or 7th marathon, so he's obviously done quite a lot. So I thought I'm going to stick with him as a pacer. And we also found the 2 paces for the 1 hour 30 half marathon. But the thing is, these paces were just on one. They went through the first 5K. So that's the reason I went through the first 5K so quickly, is because they were just flying at the start. And it got to a point where I was just completely just overexerted. I was trying to follow these paces that were meant to be on pace for a 1 hour 30 half, but they went off way too quick and I was holding on, trying to follow them. And then I was like, well, I can't hold on to these guys. They're way too quick. So me and Craig dropped off a little bit. And then I stuck with him right through until I think it was around the halfway point, just before 21 kilometers. He actually sped up a little bit and I thought, okay, I know I haven't got that in the locker. I'm going to stick to the pace I have planned. And I remember, I think it was Hugo Fry who said, run your own race. I think it was Hugo who said it on one of a podcast I was listening to. He was like, it's your race, run your own race. And I thought, you know what, like as much as it would be nice to have someone stick to, I thought I can't risk sticking to this guy and getting completely fucked up because I'm trying to hold this pace, which I just cannot hold. So dropped off a little bit, which ended up being a really lonely thing to do because I ran the rest of the race just completely by myself in no man's land, which really sucked, to be honest. But, you know, it was all right. Thankfully, the blessing with like the doing the course twice. It was a 2-loop course. It was a half marathon 1 loop, then another half marathon for the full. So I kind of knew where I was for like the second bit, so I kind of knew what to expect with the hills and stuff and when to push. But yeah, when I got to that sort of 28 to 30K mark onwards, the wall just hit me so hard. And I had everything right from a fueling standpoint. I had my gels good, my sodium good, my electrolytes. I had my mate on course giving me electrolytes in a drink. But there was nothing I could have done to stop that wall for the first time. Like it just hit me like a train. And it was probably the most amount of physical pain I've ever been in my life. And I've done a lot of tough sports. but like nothing comes close to the pain I had to endure to get through this. But my God, did it show me a lot about myself. But overall, the first marathon was an incredible experience. I absolutely loved every minute of it, and the training for it, the preparation, the person I became, and the discipline I built in myself in doing it and the training for it was just exceptional. And I really, really recommend that if you are on the fence about doing a marathon or a half or a 10K, go and just book it and train for it, because the person you become in the process is so worthwhile anyway, regardless of the time you get. And that's what really, really makes it for me. So the sub-3 dream did not happen, but it is still alive, and I do honestly believe I can hit a sub-3 at my current body weight. So I'm currently 100 kilos. I could very easily cut down to like 95 and probably do it quite easily. And there is that temptation there, but the thing is like, I like the way I look. I want to be a bigger guy. I like how I am. I want to inspire other heavy, big runners to do more endurance sports. And I think I can honestly hit a sub-3 hour marathon at 100 kilo body weight, because it was my first marathon. I know I'm not as fit as I could be at this body weight. The course I did was just disgusting. I think if I chose a flatter course and I was fitter, I think it's guaranteed that I'm going to hit that sub-3. And I genuinely think I can shave off that time this year as well. If I go for like a flat course back end of the year, I'd love to do something like Valencia, but I just think it's going to be too difficult to get into that. So yeah, we'll see what's obviously on the cards. I'll see what we have available to us. I'm definitely going to be doing one around March time next year, potentially Barcelona or something like that. But we'll obviously see what's available on the cards, what we can do. Maybe we'll try Manchester or London. So who knows? But obviously getting into London is like a 1.5% chance nowadays. But yeah, so dream's still alive. We're going to go for it. Overall thoughts, marathon, great experience. Loved every moment of it. Highly recommend giving it a go. Grab a mate, sign up for it, push yourself. Like, it's such an awesome feeling. And the energy is just electric. Like, it's so, so good when you're at those events. And that's something I think can't be replicated at any other sporting event I've done, is the crowd. Like, you'll never get that at any other sporting event. It's just insane. But yeah, guys, that is it from me. You're going to see a lot more sort of running content coming over the next few weeks. That is pretty much my life right now, is just running, training and coaching. I absolutely love every element of it. And I want to show a lot more of the process in terms of what I'm doing, because I've always found myself coming back to YouTube. If you look through my channel, you'll find videos from 10 years ago. Like, I love this. And no matter how well I do on YouTube, I'm always going to have this in my life to an extent. So I've said it a lot before, but I am genuinely going to be filming these videos on a weekly basis now. I'm going to be vlogging and just showing my life and what I'm doing on a week-to-week basis. And I cannot wait to share more with you guys. So if you want to follow along, then please do drop the channel a subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed. Any questions, drop them in the comments below, Instagram down below as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.